Hey, Eastern Oregon, welcome to the September 19th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. We're glad you're here with us today. Don't forget we're on Roku and watch for our stuff on the EOA network. There we go.
Good morning.
Yeah, how are you, man?
Second Monday.
I know. Came in, no music playing this morning.
I was because I had a lot of stuff I needed to get done, and I was just like on a straight line of focus.
You were like trying to concentrate, get it done?
Yeah. So I knew I had to get some pictures loaded. I knew I had to get a video cut and loaded, and then on top of my other stuff. So,
yeah. So, it's been a little bit more.
Well, because we haven't had a show in a week and a half. We didn't have a show last Thursday.
Yeah.
And then, so our last show was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday a week ago, right?
Yep, I think that's right.
Dang.
Yeah, that's right. Because
a lot has happened.
I was sick last Thursday. Yes, which reminds me. So the Parks Department. It's not just the Parks Department. There's a committee that's put together for the new playground that they're putting in at Riverside Park, and they were scheduled to be here last Thursday, and I had a stomach bug overnight. Anyhow, we will reschedule them, and they will be back with us. And cool committee, cool project.
I knew you'd cancel it with them because that's not up. I wouldn't ask them.
No, and I thought about.
I mean, I can run the show by myself, but not with like certain things.
Well, and that was a little bit of a rodeo. That will be a little.
Yeah,
bit of a
three
rodeo.
People coming on too, and Stu's loud.
No, I knew you could have done it, but it was I knew it would have been a lot to have asked.
I would have been stressed out because I don't know what to ask these people. I don't even know why they're coming on the show.
Because not only all three of them, there were three, but then we're also showing slides and pictures and video during the thing. Yeah, so there's a lot.
You tell me that morning. Oh yeah, the reason why they're coming is because they're dedicating a bush at Riverside. Oh, we're going to talk about dedicating a bush for half an hour?
A bush.
Well, whatever. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So anyhow, we'll have them come back, and then Kyle will know what it is that they're doing too. So
I know it's something about the park. I don't know exactly what, but I'll know. I mean, I'll ask engaging questions. Just as part of the banter.
That's part of our job is. I mean, I don't always want to be informed about everything that's going on, because then the questions that I ask are a little staged or whatever. I mean. Yeah.
I'd rather not know until like right on. That's how all my sports interviews are. Yeah. People are like, "Do you got questions that you can give me ahead of time?" I'm like, "No."
We're just gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, we're just gonna sit here and talk about what you do. Why you do it, and it's not like I'm gonna ask you what the square root of 1,000,014 is.
Yeah.
It just makes it more organic and better, I think, for the viewer.
That's exactly right.
None of this is ever scripted. Like we've never written down it. We don't read a teleprompter. We don't, you know what I mean? Like we could, but then it would be like, it'd be horrible. You'd be see me sitting here like this. The dog went across the street.
Yeah.
It would be no good.
All righty. Well, you want to do sports?
Let's rock it.
All right.
This morning sports report brought to you by Rockin' Sons Tire and Auto. East end of Adams in LeGrand. Anything you need done for your vehicle. They're trustworthy. They've been here for you ever. It's the old Wendell's Corner. Go see JB and the boys. On Friday, I got to go to EOU in the afternoon and go to probably my only 1A football game of the year, which is kind of cool. I mean, I got to go to one last year. I went to Embler and Crane. Embler ended up losing that game. I think the final score was 30-26. It was a barn burner. Crane scored at the end of the game. I got a bunch of pictures. I'm showing you some of them now. 8-man football is different, man. It's like it's odd. Am I running them or are you?
I'm not doing anything.
What's going on here? Somebody's messing with me?
No, I think it's you.
It probably is me. I'm like, am I running them or are you?
Yeah.
The pictures. So Embler Crane, like I said, 30-26, and that'll be the only 1A football game I get the whole year. I mean, it's just how it works. I don't have time to go to more than one game usually on Fridays. LeGrand hosted Estacada on Friday, and gosh, that was heartbreaker, man. I mean, we were up. We just turned the ball over way too many times, too many fumbles. Peasley got hurt again, so we were on a backup quarterback early on. We had the lead all the way into the fourth quarter, and then we just, it was kind of heartbreaking. I mean, it's not a league game, so it doesn't really matter, but we haven't beat Estacada in like 5 years, and I would really like to beat them. And this was a good year to do it because they're in a similar situation that we are. Lost a lot of seniors. They're young. I'm currently working on the senior athlete interviews, and here's a little taste of what's to come.
If you had to use one word to describe this team this year, this football team, what would the word be?
I would say underrated.
Underrated?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at us as just the team who lost a lot of guys, but we still got a lot of guys coming up, a lot of dogs that could work, so I'm excited.
With this football team, you're not going to play, but you're a part of it. I mean, you're there every day, right?
Yep.
And what for you? What's the team goal? What do you see as the team goal for this season?
I would say the team goal for the season would to make playoffs, do well in the playoffs, win a round or two in the playoffs. I think the first part of that we're all focused on right now is coming together as a team because we don't have very much chemistry. We're all a bunch of new guys coming from different levels in the program for the team. So I think starting with coming together as a team as a whole and then getting to those playoffs.
That was LHS senior athlete Caden Barrett. He's the manager on the football team because he has a broken wrist, but he also plays basketball, and I want to say he does track too. So I'm going to interview all of the senior athletes at LHS again this year. It's going to be fun. EOU football lost to Montana Tech on the road, 49-31. So they've started the season 0-3. That's tough. And it's just we're hopeful. We're scoring a lot more points than we did last year, which is good. I mean, we against Montana Tech last year, we don't put 31 points on the board. 31 is a good number.
Yeah.
We just can't give up 49. EOU volleyball lost their first match of the year. They're number 1 in the country, and they lost on Friday night to Northwest. Probably going to affect the rankings, I would imagine. We're probably going to drop down to 2 or 3. We turned around and swept Evergreen the next day. So, I mean, maybe it doesn't change. Corbin sits at number 4 right now, and they have 2 losses. So, I don't know. I'm saying on next Wednesday when the polls come out, we'll probably drop to 2 or 3, but that's okay. It's not horrible for us. We're in second place in the CCC right now, though. Corbin hasn't lost in the CCC.
Huh.
We play tonight here. It's our travel buddy night tonight. College of Idaho, 6 o'clock, I believe, 7 Mountain. So 6 o'clock. It'll start up there at Quinn. That ought to be interesting. It'll be a good game. CVI's a decent team. LHS travels to Malawi this Friday. EOU has a ton of home games this weekend, and I'll go through them real fast. Friday, volleyball hosts Walla Walla, and this is going to be a 2 o'clock afternoon game because Walla Walla has those strict rules around playing after dark and traveling after dark. Men's soccer hosts Rocky Mountain College at 4. Women's soccer hosts Rocky Mountain College at 6:30. And then on Saturday, volleyball hosts LCSC at 3. And the reason for the change from 5 to 3 is because the football game is at 5 on Saturday instead of 1. And it's here. And it's against Rocky Mountain. And then finally on Sunday, men's soccer will host Walla Walla at 4 p.m. So it's a big, busy weekend at EOU. It ought to be interesting. There's a lot of stuff to do if you want to get up there and support the Mounties. Quinn Coliseum, Community Stadium, stuff going on all weekend. No LHS football home game this weekend. It's on the road, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks. And yeah, it was a good stream on Friday for those that tuned in. I mean, we had a good time, and I thought for sure we were going to win that game, but
it looked really good.
Oh man.
I mean, it looked really good. We just
Too many turnovers, too many fumbles.
Yeah.
Too many fumbles. That's it for your AM Sports Report, brought to you by Rockin' Sons Tire and Auto, right here in the Grand East End of Adams. Go CJB and the boys.
Yep. So what's EOU's chances, do you think, against Rocky Mountain?
What, football?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to win eventually.
Yeah. I mean,
what? Do you want me to be like Kyle the fan or Kyle the realist?
Kyle the fan.
Kyle the fan. I hope we're winning. Kyle the realist is like, well, we got to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Our defense has been so. Last year, the problem was the offense, right? We had all kinds of trouble with the offense last year.
Yeah.
We bring in a new quarterback. We bring in a new offensive coordinator. I feel kind of like we got that figured out a little bit. We're putting up points.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden our defense is just giving up.
Yeah.
If you can't give up 49 points and win.
Yeah.
It's just not possible, especially at this level. It's not going to happen. And I don't know. I'll interview Coach Camp today and we'll see where he sits on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think. I watched the game on Saturday. The things that I see missing is a lot of, like, we make a stupid turnover and give up a touchdown right after we just gave up a touchdown, and that's a 14-point swing, and that kind of stuff just can't happen. There's little things, turnovers, defense. We got to get it figured out, and I mean, what better time to do it at home, I guess, on a Saturday evening game, which is kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. Thanks for cool pictures.
Yeah.
It'll
be interesting. There's going to be. They have everything timed out to where I can pop. Most likely, I'll be at 1, 2, 3. I'll be at 6 games in 3 days.
Wow.
6 games, and 2 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday.
Yeah. And then we are streaming the Pendleton game.
Oh yeah, this Friday against Ridgeview.
Yeah. So
I don't even know where Ridgeview is.
I'm not sure I do either.
Are they a 4A school, 5A school? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll set up and they'll show up. And
you know what the crazy thing is? This Estacada team that we lost to, they lost their first 2 games of the year to the number 1 team each week, right? Scappoose and Henley. They lost. They were 0-2 coming here.
Mm-hmm.
We should have beat them, and I don't know. I don't pay any attention to OSAA rankings. You know that. Everybody knows that because they're garbage. They're hot garbage. They're the worst ever. But the media company on the west side, mid-major media, they have Estacada ranked number 4 in the state. And I made a comment to them. I'm like, there's no way they're number 4. No way. I mean, I watched them play on Friday. You're saying this is a semifinal team when LeGrand should have beat them. We fumbled like 4 times, and we're on a backup quarterback, and we're not that good. You know what I mean? We're not a top 10 team right now. Yeah. And so unless he's got some insider information that I don't know about, Estacada, a top 4 team, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been in the past, of course. They're state champs last year, but they're not the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it. Everybody saw the game on Friday. Like they did not dominate any part of that game.
I mean, it actually was a good game. And I mean, it was a good game that we should have won. It was just the turnovers.
Definitely should have won. Discipline. It all boils down to discipline, and that has been LeGrand's Achilles heel ever since I've been back.
Yeah.
Last year, same thing. How many false starts did we have last year? The year before, same thing. How many dumb penalties, turnovers? Like that game against Tillamook last year.
Yeah.
The playoff game in Gresham.
You're right.
We turned the ball over 6 times. You can't win games when you turn the ball over 6 times.
Yeah.
We were way better than Tillamook on paper.
Yeah.
But you go, in a playoff game, you turn the ball over 6 times, you're not winning.
Yeah.
Anyways, rant over.
All righty. Well, let's take a look outside. It was cool this morning.
Felt good.
Yeah, it was. When I got up, all the windows were open and
70. That's like San Diego weather right there.
Yeah.
70 and balmy.
But look at the highs down, later on.
Yeah, it's gonna start turning to fall maybe.
It's got that cool feeling to it, doesn't it?
You think there's one more week of hot weather left? Probably.
Well, they had said that there was a little bit more hot weather coming.
I think there probably is.
But I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know what the way the weather's.
The time that you're trying to start guess weather is like.
So I'm not a
It's a little bit like gambling.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
There's no for sure thing there at all. So, all right. Well, today we have the pleasure of having Jason Hogge with us. And he is the artist that is putting the art display together out in front of the LeGrand Library here just across the street. I had the chance to stop and talk to him yesterday for a few minutes, and he's going to be here with us, and you'll want to. It's a really cool art display, and we'll hear about that here in just a minute. We'll be right back. All right, Jason Hogge.
Yes.
I said that wrong. Yeah. But, well, hey, cool. Nice to have you on the show today.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for having me.
I've had people talking to me about that. It's like, hey, have you seen the art display? Have you interviewed him? And so on and so forth. And so then yesterday, just on the way home from work, I actually changed lanes to pull over and talk to you. And the people behind me, they thought I was crazy, but that's not unusual. So
I like crazy people, so
yeah.
that's okay.
So cool. Well, so I don't know. Tell us about yourself. Tell us the journey about you born to actually getting to here. So, I mean, kind of give us a thumbnail version of what's going on.
Okay, I'll try to keep it kind of short.
Yeah.
So I was born over in Baker. Moved to Pendleton with my parents when I was little, and was raised in Pendleton. So been all over Eastern Oregon. Started doing art when I was young, and my parents got me some art lessons. That was one of the great things in my life that I've really appreciated. And so after high school, got married, had 4 kids, and raised our kids, and now we have grandkids. I have 9 grandkids, and
Yeah. That's awesome.
so yeah.
Well, cool. And so how have you been doing this kind of art? Well, let me show a few pictures, and you'll be able to see them right there. So I just snapped these last night. So this is kind of what do you call this? A perspective art,
Yeah, it's mixed with perspective and some illusion.
Okay.
It uses some forced perspective, but I've created on panels where there's 4 different viewpoints where you get a different mural from
so then
each
just by walking around, you see different, and you're still probably a month from being done. Is that right? Yeah. So you're still working on this. And so, but all of these, so this one is like as somebody's coming out the library doors, like a small, like a kid.
Yes.
And so to get this perspective, you actually kind of have to crunch down if you're an adult. Yeah.
So hopefully when children walk out, it's right at their eye level.
Yeah. And then this one is from, this one is from like the bottom of the ramp as you're coming out of. So talk through, tell me, some of them we can see kind of what you have in mind.
Yeah, some of them are still just blocked in. And,
so tell us what this one is going to be.
So this one will be a map of the river, and it's kind of a topography map looking down
Okay.
on the landscape, and the part that's at the top of the picture will be snow,
Okay.
and the lower part will be mud, and there'll be tracks, going through the mud and the snow, kind of representing the different sports and different activities that go on in LeGrand.
Cool.
And,
And then I'll go backwards here. And then this is the one of like a child can see from the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
What's
and
that going to be?
So this is kind of one of the important parts to me. So it's for children, kind of as a future vision, as far as society's been a little bit rocky, with people being sighted. And I really wanted to do something that had complementary colors, and to represent how, even though, sometimes we're the furthest apart in appearance, there's like lots of stuff to still complement each other and still have good conversations. And I think it's better when we can learn about each other and learn about our differences instead of trying to everybody be on one side or the other.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
And then this one, this kind of is a little bit more of a historical, right? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the more recent past. There's there's a lot of the industry and stuff that kind of built LeGrand, but also the people that helped build that. And so, there's railroad workers, there's some Chinese railroad workers, there's Lucky Trice, who was a citizen here in LeGrand that was actually part of Maxville when they had a logging outfit.
Uh-huh.
And, he came back here and raised his family in LeGrand and was a prominent citizen. And it's just also the school, the back staircase to the school at EOU.
Of EOU. Okay. Yeah. And that's the Perry Bridge too. Is that what
Yes.
that? Yeah. And then this last one, this is more of an outdoor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one represents the distant past and the people that lived in this area. And so these are Nimipu women that are digging camas root, and it's my wife and sister-in-law and my niece, and they're actually from the Nez Perce tribe.
Oh,
and
cool.
So they actually go out and dig camas root, and we went and got Thule reeds last weekend here in LeGrand. So
Wow.
So yeah, they're and that past, I think is important to remember too.
So now, how do you like that one? Did you have them be models and take photos of that, and then you're kind of working from photos?
Yes.
And I mean, tell me what's your process here of putting that kind of stuff together?
So we actually took a trip here to LeGrand, and my wife and sister-in-law, they got dressed in their regalia, and actually there was an old photograph of my family's ancestors where they were actually digging camas root, and so we reenacted that scene, and that was my wife's family that's in that photo. So it's kind of somewhat personal. And actually they do have ties to this area too. So yeah.
Well, cool. Well, let's step back a little bit and
Okay.
kind of talk about I know that there's a public arts commission locally here that's made of a variety of different folks that volunteer to be a part of that. And I know that there's been a vision for having some kind of a piece of art in front of the library.
Mm-hmm.
How did did they have these scenes in mind beforehand, or kind of talk to me about how this project kind of came together, and then what you inserted into that process as an artist?
Okay. So I had a friend refer me to an RFQ that they had put out online. So that they had kind of a vision of a very, a broad vision where I could go in and kind of determine some of what I wanted to put into it. for the proposal. But what they did is they have everybody puts their qualifications out, and then they choose from those people. I think they chose 3 people to go ahead and put a proposal, an actual visual proposal out. And so I got the opportunity to do that, which was exciting. I've applied for a lot of projects, and this is the first one that I've been able to actually put my vision on paper. So then they chose from those 3 and chose mine. So I did some research into the area. Plus, I worked with a friend who is from LeGrand, and so he had a lot of information from his family and different things, and just kind of started piecing things together. And the more people I talked to, the more information I found. And actually, I was interested in the Maxville Heritage Center already. My parents had been to Wallow and talked about it, and so it was ironic that actually Lucky Trice came here to live and raise his family. So that was kind of neat that I was able to add that into the mural, and his daughter Gwen helped me a lot with that information. So, yeah.
Well, very cool. And so now then did you how did all of this art has come together on something? It's already, you can see it, what's going to be there clearly. How did those originals come together? Was that part of what you had to do? Was like, okay, this is what this panel is going to be, and then they would say, yeah, that's good, or can we add this? Or
it was actually pretty much the whole proposal was done, and to what the finish would be, or at least close to it. And then they went through the proposals and decided. So they didn't. The council did not really manipulate the things. It was pretty much they accepted it the way it was. And
so when you put in the request for the proposal, when you did, you already had the 4 art pieces done.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah, at least once. So once the qualifications were out there,
right,
then yes, I had the.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of staying up at night, just not being able to sleep and thinking about all these panels, how they would all line up.
Right. But did you know you had the job before you did each of the paintings, or did you have to?
No. Well, I had already started kind of figuring what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And but then had to wait for the proposal to be accepted, or the qualifications to be accepted.
Okay.
And then I started putting it into motion. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you knew you had the job before you finally put in all of the work to do the actual painting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then once you did the actual painting, they're like, yeah, okay, good. Though, you kind of had control over, once you knew you had the project, you had control over what was going to be on each of the perspectives.
Somewhat.
Somewhat. Yeah.
So when I put my qualifications, they decided on 3 people, and then I actually put the images on kind of a mock-up. So I made a small scale structure, and then I actually took photos and took them in Photoshop and made it look like it was actually at the library, and put it on the panels. So that part was just
like a storyboard.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
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 So,
but I guess the point is you put a lot of work into it.
Yes.
Not knowing whether you were going to get the job or not.
Yes. Yes. A lot.
Well, and I guess I'm interested in that process a little bit, because we have RFPs, requests for proposals all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done that process, and frankly, it's just awful. I hate that process. From the standpoint of needing to hire an artist or needing to hire people, I understand why it happens that way. But
yeah,
from the standpoint of an artist or a client, it's brutal. It really is.
And I think it is difficult. And I've being, having my children and stuff, I've been in the workforce for quite a long time too, as a maintenance person. So I've had to do some of that type of work for other types of projects. And so I think that helped, but that was a very difficult part of the whole thing because the creative vision doesn't always fit with, the structured part of
Right.
like filling something out. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was a challenge.
Yeah. So a big key part, and you can't really understand. I can't explain this until you actually stand in front of the art piece. But a big key part of it is actually the angles, the way that those concrete pieces were formed and constructed.
Yes.
I mean, it has to be exact. I mean,
It
did you do that too?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yes.
did you do the actual concrete and stuff also?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So that part was really challenging. So it has a steel frame on the bottom and the top that encases the concrete panels.
Oh,
and,
I see. Okay.
And those angles had to be right on, and even just like welding, some of the angles would drift off a little bit, and so it was a lot of cutting back and rewelding, and so it was quite a process.
So you did all of the construction process. I mean, the welding frame and then the concrete internally.
Yes, and I did have help too. I had and in my past work experience, I did welding and some different concrete work. So that came somewhat naturally, but it was also a very different process doing the panels, and it's not like pouring a slab.
Yeah.
And
the panels are, how wide is that chunk of art?
I think it's about 24 feet long, I believe.
Yeah. And so then, but they're not all at parallel angles.
No.
They're pointing at a particular perspective.
Yes.
Right.
And there aren't any of them. They're at the same angle. So every single one.
Right. Because they're all being customized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean,
Well,
so just that part of it. I mean, so before you ever pick up a brush and start doing the image,
mm-hmm.
the canvas, this concrete canvas that you chose,
right.
has got to be right.
It's got to be perfect. Yeah. And it was something I found out in the middle of the project that kind of scared me. I had done all the planning from a single point that would go out, and 4 single points.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized you have 2 eyes. And so you can't go out from a single point. You have to go out from 2 points because you can see beside each panel.
Oh,
because they're 2 inches wide, and your eyes, it's about the same distance as your eyes apart. And so I had to adapt the full plan to bring the images further around the back of the blocks. And some of the blocks didn't actually reach that far, so I had to remeasure everything. And
wow.
Yeah, and that was kind of on the fly.
So have you done this type of project before, or, I mean, this is involved. Yeah.
I've done on a smaller scale. I've done murals that are pretty large scale, and I've done some illusion based, art. And also I've done some small scale paintings and structures that are that kind of illusion with a structure that changes directions and
mm-hmm.
shapes, but nothing on this scale yet.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah.
So when I went over last night, you had blue tape where you had marked where the 4 spots were, at least 3 of them anyhow, I'm trying to remember. So is there eventually going to be something permanent in the concrete in each of those spots?
Well, this might be a good time to ask the city. Maybe somebody's watching.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is drill a hole in each of the spots, just a really shallow hole.
Right.
And I'm thinking about putting either a coin or some type of a thing actually glued down, cemented down into the concrete. So hopefully people will walk by to try to pick it up, and when they stand up, they'll be right in the perspective.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they let me do that.
Wow. Well, cool. Well, what else? I mean, have you had some unique experiences? I mean, what are some of the stories that you've kind of gathered at this point?
I have. I've met a lot of people, and there's, people that hang out late at night. I have people that are just walking by during the day and are very interested in what's going on. And I think at first a lot of people thought I was putting it to keep people off the wall or keep people riding skateboards off the wall, which I was a skateboarder myself, so I had no intention of that. But yeah, there's been a lot of people with a lot of stories that keep coming forward, and actually had Dale and Ginny Mammon have been very helpful, and Ginny has brought me some photos. One photo of one of the buildings that was they believe was part of the Chinese community that was on Adams Avenue, and so I was able to fit that back into the mural. It wasn't part of the original plan, and then people keep coming by and explaining more of the stories that from the area. So I've actually decided in some of the areas that don't get seen from any of the 4 vantage points, there'll be some areas that just they're blocked by another panel. And so what I'd like to do is make it look like cracked cement and have things emerging from the cement, almost like artifacts and different things to kind of bring the history back out. And all the people that keep talking about stuff, I would really like to see if I could get photos and different things of things that mean something to their family or mean something to the area. And probably from my family, I'll get some Native American artifacts to kind of have emerging. And I think it's kind of neat the history is actually emerging from people telling stories, and that's kind of neat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's no Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty substantial area for the Oregon Trail, all the way through, Baker and LeGrand and up on the hill up over here. I'm surprised nobody's brought forth something about the Oregon Trail.
Well, and that could be something that the mural that has the map on it with the mud and the stuff.
Oh yeah,
there'll be tracks going through there.
You could put some wagon tracks.
Thank you.
That's a nice idea.
Just got another tip.
Well, I mean, this area is pretty. I mean, the other one would be farming, and I'm sure that's tied in somehow to your.
Yeah, there's a barn and some,
I mean, this is the whole valley is based on a few things: the railroad, farming.
Yep.
So are you hoping to have a, kind of a document, or, I mean, seems like there should be a plaque or something, and maybe that's what the art, that's what that kind of explains, what to look for in this panel and what to look for in
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
There will be a donor plaque, and something I'd like to do is kind of put a little bit of mystery into the work. So like even in the child's panel and in some of those hidden areas, I'd like to have some either words, some of them in different languages, some of them, in English, some of them like just symbols, different things that kind of emerge depending on where you're standing. So there might even be some different perspectives that aren't really
like
noted,
little things,
but maybe people will find them someday. And so I kind of hope to tell some stories with that imagery.
Yeah.
So.
I got a question. Artistically, who's your inspiration? Like, who do you what artists do you like?
I like a lot of artists, but so one person I just really enjoy is well, of course, I like Leonardo da Vinci's work. A lot of it, the structures mixed with really, I mean, he was very much a painter.
A really good painter.
Yeah, I enjoy that. But I also love surreal art. And so a lot of the surreal artists I really enjoy.
Like Dali.
Dali, especially.
Dude, who doesn't like I used to have Dali pictures hanging in my house.
He was such a strange guy too.
Dude, just awesome though. Like when you sit back and look, I knew you were gonna say, I could tell, just kind of you're talking about hiding stuff and just the surreal movement Dali was a huge part of that. Right?
Yeah.
The guy was super talented too.
Yeah, and I really enjoy when people put hidden things in their work. I like when you have to kind of find the story in it. It's not just completely described. And so,
Do you know Dolly paintings very well? What's your favorite one?
I love the one with the elephant, the long-legged elephants and stuff.
The
There's
one
also
on the water.
Yeah.
I like Metamorphosis for Narcissism. That's my favorite. Painting by him.
And there's definitely a lot of. I read a book about Dolly too, and that'll probably scare you, but it's.
Oh yeah,
he was an interesting guy.
Yeah, did a lot of acid and a lot of
Yeah, he loved attention too.
Yeah.
It was weird stuff.
He's good though. He's a phenomenal artist. Cool.
Well, and it'd be interesting. I mean, there probably will be people, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it's like, oh, I see. I mean, they'll see things that you never planned.
Right. I hope so.
Yeah.
You just make things up.
Yeah, they make things
better.
up like, no, I think,
Yeah.
if you look at that from straight above, there's there's something. Yeah.
Well, sometimes, I mean, this is kind of a off note, but sometimes I actually believe that happens. I mean, and I had an art teacher when I was young, and if you made a mistake, she always said, "That's a happening, leave it," and you'd make a bird out of it or do something.
Yeah.
But something I've found is sometimes I have a tendency to overwork things, and sometimes when I leave it loose, things emerge that I didn't plan.
Yeah.
And sometimes that turns out better. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm actually working on with this mural, is not to try to tighten it up too much too fast.
Yeah.
And let it do some of its own things. And so,
well, and I think that is, I mean, the artists that I have been around, David Manuel, I've photographed a lot of his work in clay and in the final bronze. Yeah, which is just a really unique thing. And and he would overwork stuff. I mean, his wife Jerry, I think is her name, would say she would just like, no, you're done, David. I'm taking this away from you because an art, I mean, you literally could, there's no end to the amount of adjustments or to what it was that you could do,
Yeah. And that's a challenge sometimes to decide when it's finished.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm actually attending classes at EOU, and it's been helpful for me because when all the students get together and we do a critique, each person has something different to say, and a lot of times it's not what I would anticipate.
Right.
The things that I think are the best sometimes aren't the things that other people find interest in, and vice versa. Sometimes I think something's not done, and I'm almost afraid to bring it to class, and people like that piece better. And so I've been trying to separate myself from that perfectionism and let the art kind of stand a little bit on its own and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And
So do you make money at this? I mean, I know this job is paid, but I mean, before this, is this something you've been able to do for a living, or is it you're still trying to get to doing it as a living?
So it's been interesting. I worked for the college in Pendleton for a few years, and I took classes while I was there, and I started doing some art classes, was working towards an art degree there, and I had like $40,000 worth of jobs lined up, and quit my job and jumped out into it. And then through a series of life events, I ended up raising my kids on my own for a while, and so I had to go back to a maintenance job.
Right. Yeah.
But I've always kept my business license and always done art in the evenings, and I can't stop it if I wanted to. I think about stuff all night long. If I don't do it, I just keep thinking about it. So I've always painted. I've done a lot of sign work, whatever, murals, different things to keep some money coming in. But I feel very fortunate right now. My wife Ethel has a job that allows me to be able to kind of bridge those gaps with art. It's never steady. It's always kind of up and down. And I really feel like this project is kind of a stepping stone into that world of doing more public art, and so that's where my aims are going.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, it's what you're doing is fantastic. It really is.
Well, thank you.
So tell us about, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that? Tell us about your business or the art part of it, what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, our business is called EJ Hoggensteiner, and or Free Spirit Design is what I've kind of always used as a doing business as, and and so do you want
Free Spirit Design? Yeah.
Free Spirit Design.
Okay.
And I'm in Pendleton, but yeah, for the most part, I'm working more on the fine art end of things, so I'm not really doing a lot of sign work anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think this year is my senior year at EOU, so I'm going to be working on putting more portfolio together for my painting, my fine art paintings, and then I'm pretty much going to be responding to RFQs or RFPs, and kind of working in that direction. But if somebody does have a project that they want done, pretty much either Facebook or I can leave my number.
Yeah. Well, I think Kyle's going to put it in the comments here.
I'm put the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I just put the website.
yeah,
In the comment.
and so that people can find you.
What's the phone number?
Yeah.
Let's put it on there.
541-969.
541-969.
4797.
4797. And that's EJ Hoggensteiner.
Yeah. EJ Hoggensteiner.
Hogensteiner. Oh, yeah. Hogue.
Yeah.
Hogensteiner.
And what's your first name?
Jason.
Jason Hogge. Hogge.
Yes. Yeah.
Boom.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Here, we'll put it up on the screen here for a minute so people can find it. But no, thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you guys.
And for those of you that have not seen it, it is fascinating. It is really interesting. Again, there's a bunch of art panels, and you drive by and you can kind of catch a glimpse of oh, I saw something. Yeah. But if you just get out of your vehicle and on the sidewalk, if you just walk around it, go to the top of the stairs and right at the entranceway of the doors as you come out of the library, go down, there's a perspective there. And then if you go to the bottom of the ramp, there's a perspective there. And then you come around the corner, sidewalk. There's another one. And yeah, so it's just, I mean, I think once you get the idea of people walking around it, then they kind of do it on their own. It's like, oh, I wonder if there's something else, So yeah. Well, very cool. Well, thanks, Jason,
you
for being here. Yeah. You want to get us out of here?
Yeah. On this day, September 19th, 1796, George Washington's farewell address as U.S. president is published. On this day in 1893, New Zealand becomes the first country to grant all women the right to vote. 1893, they were way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, because we were like 1920, I think, was when.
1960, Chubby Checkers The Twist hits number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The significance of that is one of my favorite groups growing up was the Fat Boys. They were a rap group of fat guys.
Yeah. And
they redid this song with him.
Oh,
yeah, and it was like I had it on tape, and I thought that was the coolest thing since sliced bread. 1986 3D short film Captain EO with Michael Jackson premiered at Disney theme parks. You ever go to that? Captain EO?
No.
Oh wow.
I might have.
Captain EO was crazy. Yeah. And then we'll jump ahead to 2022 because this day was not really that significant over history, but this is a pretty big one. British monarch Queen Elizabeth II interned at Windsor Castle after a state funeral at Westminster Abbey in London with an unprecedented 500 plus world leaders in attendance.
Wow.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, period. But world leaders, 500 plus.
Right.
But she was also queen for how long? I mean, she was almost 100, wasn't she?
75 years.
Yeah,
It was more
a
than
long
70.
time.
Yeah,
a long time. The number 1 song in the country on this day in 1983. What do you think it is, BC? 1983. You probably aren't going to get this one.
Number 1 song. I have no idea.
This is a tough one. Billy Joel, Tell Her About It.
Tell her about it. Boy, that does not look like Billy. I mean, that's a young Billy Joel.
Well, this is,
this
is
46 or 40 years ago.
Right.
So he's probably what, 30 in that picture, 28. Quote of the day. These things are the pictures are riding up slow today. What's going on here? There we go. At the end of the day, we can endure much more than we think we can. And that's Frida Kahlo. At the end of the day, we can endure much more than we think we can.
All righty.
Yeah.
It's a little twitchy today.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Earlier, I thought you were controlling it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It doesn't usually do that. So,
Yeah.
but we're good. Rock and roll. We'll be
All
here
right.
back on Thursday.
Yep.
Thursday, we got
Holly
Stu
Walker.
Spence.
No. I don't have them scheduled yet.
Oh,
Yeah. Holly Walker will be with us from Remax on Thursday. So all righty. Hey, thanks, Jason.
yeah. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jason.
Yeah.
See you Thursday.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Talk to you.